developing customized compensation solutions. And I'm sure we're going to hear a little bit more about technology. I think Peter's then back again later in the day on one of our panels. So don't forget, if you've got a question for Peter at the end of his presentation, post it in the chat and I'll read it out at the end of the session. So Peter, it's over to you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Peter Dodell. I'm from Siemens Energy, and I'm a bit of satellite in Comp and Ben because I'm the head of tools and processes, what you normally maybe would locate in HR IT or maybe even in IT directly. And I will present to you a bit the journey of the last 2 years when we developed a brand new compensation solution. So at the beginning, there will be a poll to the very right side where you can answer the first question that I would like you to answer. And actually, it's about if you are satisfied with your current use of a compensation module in a standard suite. So if you're using one, are you happy currently? Are you having troubles or running workaround solutions, or do you actually search for a replacement or maybe a better solution? And let's see how the results are coming in, and then in a later stage, we can also have a look on the results. So a short look on the agenda. So basically a short wrap up what happened the last 2 years. Also a short overview how we decided on standard suite versus custom solution. Also a little presentation of what actually the custom solution is, COIN, Compensation Insights. Also maybe a bit of gap closer to the last session about data analytics and insight and actually decision management. And then at the end, we come to lessons learned, feedback, and also what is to come. At the very end, I would be very happy to answer all of your questions if there is enough time. Let's have a short look on the journey. We started in July 2019. That was the first time I heard that Siemens Energy will be spinned off from Siemens AG. And we had a look and evaluation at the current as-is situation. There was a lot of heterogeneous tool landscapes in place, processes in place. Every country was basically responsible for their local compensation processes. And we decided pretty fast after doing that evaluation that we want to have a globalized, harmonized approach. So we defined the vision for Siemens Energy and for the global Comp and Ben to have a centralized merit increase in place, for example, to have a centralized steering and be in control of what's happening actually in the countries. Also, the focus was a bit different for Siemens Energy to be more business oriented, had to have that more global look on the topics compared to before where the regional focus was a bit more in place. So we set up all the timelines and the project, and to be honest, at that point in time, we started quite a journey. So end of October 2019, only some months after we already started implementing, we made a decision, we got support from the management, and we left behind all processes and tools at once for 80 plus countries, only having 11 months until the spin-off happening then in September 2020. Also what's really important is the evaluation of the local merit processes and what's happening actually in the countries, to get into discussion with the countries, to really get the insight about requirements, especially about local legislation, union agreements, workers' council agreements, but also like how has it been handled in the past with the managers. And actually we started at a very early point also designing the annual incentive process, the global annual incentive process also, and how this should be set up in the new tool and how should the process run over all of these countries and the populations. And then we had COVID coming unexpectedly. So there was a decision taken that there will be no merit increase happening, and we were able to shift a bit the focus away from a, let's say, MVP for the merit that was reachable in that point of time, to the equity programs, to the incentive, to spend a bit more time also into design and setting up the processes and setting up the rollouts. And actually, in September 2020, when the spin-off happened, we had all of our equity programs running at day one, right? So this was a great achievement, but also we went live with the global incentive schemes for over 35,000 employees in the tool, including letters, including management KPIs and everything. So as you can see, especially already with the incentives, we were able to reduce the incentive schemes by a ridiculous amount, right? From over 200 to a handful of incentive schemes. And also we had a whole holistic end-to-end process for compensation running for incentives, completely without the help of, let's say, a business service provider, right, or IT. So the Comp and Ben was fully in charge of the process. My team setting up the tool, preparing the process, our local Comp and Ben colleagues in the countries running the process. And it went really smooth, and we got good feedback. So we then, after doing that successful launch, jumped to the implementation of the merit increase. And even if some did not believe that we actually would be able to achieve the merit increase in time, we went live in November 2021 with a global merit increase in 70 plus countries for over 120 different kind of populations. And no pilot, no testing before, right? Just a go live. And we had over 35,000 employees managed by 7,000 managers. So it was really impressive. But I think what was even more impressive is, after all that work, the investment that we took for the customer solution and the investment also into user experience really paid back, because we had roughly around 250 tickets in the process where people were asking about the process and how should I do this and what should I do here, right? So most of the topics actually were about data quality. And that is a topic coming from the last, let's say, 15 to 20 years, since data in many countries still lies within the local HR systems and not in one global HR system. So we had to make a lot of work the last 2 years to actually get the data into a global standard, into a global comparison, right? To have the data quality in place to run the global processes, in parallel to implementing all the features, having design workshops and rolling this out to managers and HR. Then let's have a look at our decision, standard suite versus custom solution. So when we did all the requirement taken in the countries, right? When we did all the analysis, we found out there's really a bunch of requirements in the countries, and with a huge variety coming from union agreements to special handling to things being in the employment conditions being negotiated into contracts, right? That we need to handle. And yeah, even like not only the like easy differentiation between blue colors and white colors, right? Even several groups of white colors with different conditions. And also, let's say for most of these populations, we were able to harmonize, right? Because we really came with a good concept. And but for the other parts, we needed to find a solution. And that's the point where we came up with a concept called freedom within a frame. And I will explain that in a second. But first, when we had a look at all the standard suites available on the market, right, we had the feeling in our evaluation that it would kind of limit our vision on how we want to run centralized Comp and Ben and how we want to harmonize. Because for us, it was really important not to have any workarounds in our global processes, but everybody fit into that process, and also have that great user experience where we spend a lot of money also for user experience and actually into self-service decision making in the tool. So it was important for us that everybody uses this tool, so we had to make the scope a bit bigger. And as you can see, with most of the standardized solutions that we analyzed together also, we had the feeling that some of the requirements would fall apart on the side because they would not fit into what actually the tool would be able to handle. That's also then when we came up with that freedom within a frame approach for the custom solution, because we just had to make the frame a bit bigger, right? So the implementation had to provide a bit more flexibility also to the countries and actually what's necessary in the countries. So we can allow actually all those, let's say, little extra things, but without losing the focus on a standardized global process, on a standardized solution, right? And that was basically also then the main decision driver for us actually to go for a customized solution at the very end and not to take something basically directly from a vendor. Then also, I think what really important was, what was really important for us is a discussion also about, like, is it about a standard suite or a customized developed solution? And then we had a lot of questions by our HR colleagues, like, why can we not use what we already have licensed? So back in that day, we already had Workday taken over from Siemens AG, running for certain kind of topics, but not for Comp and Ben. Also, do you want to replace a standard solution, or what is your business case? And actually, all of those questions could be answered, right? Because it's not about standard suite or custom developed suite. It was more about, like, We have a division, we have a concept on how we want to run comp and ben, right? And we had the feeling if we would take the standard solution, not only would we be limited, we would have also the need of additional HR resources to run things around that standard process at that point in time. So having additional administration efforts and a lot of manual processes around, especially for certain kind of populations in the world. So basically it was more, let's say, custom solution together with a standard suite, on top of a standard suite, right? So not the intention to replace HR core and certain features, but also to have more a strategic view on comp and ben, and having that high user experience, that level of user experience actually available for everybody, so that we, with a very small comp and ben team, still managing the same amount of countries that were managed before, right, before the spin-off, are able to kind of have a good experience for the managers, but also an efficient process for the HR and efficient process for the administration. So then basically we had that concept and explained everybody also the concept to integrate Coin into the business processes. For example, integrated into the hiring process, integrated into off-cycle increases, not only the merit increase, but also the promotion process. Since we not only do the merit increase and incentive, and I will show that also later on in another slide, what else basically is integrated into that solution. But to be a standard module basically of the standard suite that is used for comp and ben decision making. And also what we now find out in our HR transformation project running now since a year is that there are many additional HR processes where now other departments also find out that this might not fit into a standard HR solution or standard suite, right? And now we have already a custom solution in place, running in the cloud, being basically accepted by IT security and cybersecurity and so on, right? So we have something in place where we can now leverage from that solution and also have little extra solutions implemented in that as well that do not fit into a standard solution. So this now helps us to eliminate a ton of local manual processes, and also, to have a good discussion with our HR IT colleagues regarding the design, regarding the integration. Sorry. So let's have a look at COIN. COIN stands for Compensation Insights, and we asked our managers and also our HR colleagues what COIN means to them, right? So you see a lot of buzzwords, but I think we have two that really shined out in all of the discussion. The first one is user experience. So we really got really great feedback working together with our design colleagues on the user experience of that system. So it's really self-explanatory, and people do not have many questions about how to use it and how to actually find their ways and fulfill their tasks and the processes. But also the holistic picture is really interesting because we actually combine different aspects of comp and ben, and we try to integrate it as much as possible. And then even outside of comp and ben, we reach out to colleagues from talent management, and we reach out to finance, we reach out to strategy on how to actually shake hands and to bring in more information to have that holistic picture. As a manager should be able to make a self-service decision, and that decision should be guided by any data that is available and makes sense. And also, maybe a little extra, we just have won the design award for EF Design Awards 2022 for user experience as well. Not the golden one, but the normal one, right? So, but I think that is also a great achievement where a jury over 130 people has chosen our platform to get that design award. Why may they have chosen us, right? So I want to show you some ideas about COIN and what's it all about, and give you a little explanation also. So COIN stands for Compensation Insights, and the insight, as you can see already here, for example, an example picture from our merit increase is that we show all necessary information available to the manager. So for example, we embed benchmarking directly into the process, and we also have differentiation between internal and external benchmarking, for example. Or now equity fully is integrated into the comp and ben process as well. So the manager has all information regarding the equity programs and the reference bands and the budget values, right? And also the budget for his or her department. And then even on a later stage, I will show a second screen where you see even more details on an employee. Then we also were able, sorry, a bit too fast here. So another point here is with Coin, we had the flexibility of not only showing like a standardized amount of data, but we also differentiate by populations. So for example, maybe in some tools where the managers go in, they don't see all employees because some are excluded from the process, but we do not exclude anybody from the process. We still show the people with an additional information to the manager, for example, that somebody is not allowed to receive a merit increase and why. So it's really like we answer the question of the manager already before he's able to state it. Or maybe in a certain country, we have the regulation that not the line manager, the global manager can do the job, but the company manager has to do the job because of data privacy. Also, this is shown in the tool. And also we now foster the alignment between the company manager and the global manager to actually have a discussion about the employee and to find a good solution regarding a merit increase. And as you can see on the left side of the slide, it's not only about merit, it's about incentives, special payments, spot-on awards. We also do organizational structuring in terms of position evaluation. And also, of course, the analytics play a huge role in that system because we have real-time analytics on the system. So I would say it's the holy triangle. It's basically a really nice customer front end. We have a admin backend where we run with my team all the processes globally, right, on a really efficient way, without the service or the additional service of any service provider. And a third part, we have a global analytics solution in place where we, on a self-service, create dashboards and publish this to certain audiences. So they, in real time, for example, could then monitor what's happening in their area of responsibility in the merit. So if you would be responsible for a country, you would see what's going on, what is the budget usage, how much equity was spent on average, how is the differentiation done, right? How do, for example, people below a certain comp ratio get a certain average increase from the merit increase and so on. So really the insights also not only for the manager here to make a decision, but also for HR to actually come from an operation standpoint to a consulting standpoint and help the business actually to make that strategic decision making. So here's another example screen. If you click on the details of an employee, and again, this is all illustrative data here. So basically, we really have a bunch of information available for the manager. And as you can see also, we harmonized how compensation, let's say, components are structured into certain kind of buckets. So we found a way with a certain definition of compensation components and buckets that we have a global scheme available that counts for all of the countries. So this screen, as you see it here, was run for 70 plus countries without having any problems, right? And this was also part of our freedom within a frame approach, because this screen seems kind of easy, but the complexity to manage that screen and having all logic and legislation still fulfilled and the logic running in the background, right, is all managed in the backend. Yeah, this was really important for us as well, complexity in the backend and usability and user experience for the managers. Okay, so what do we now actually include? In Coin, we have position evaluation done now for 80% of our population. So, for example, job family, sub-job family, and so on. We integrated the job catalog, the job library from renowned consultancy. And this is included in the tool. So we have a really good process running that directly, again, with the self-service of the managers. We run the global incentives, but also now the sales incentives. And also we have a handshake with accounting, for example, where we help them to build up the accruals. We have the merit increase running now in 70 plus countries globally. We have market intelligence embedded into the system where we buy the market intelligence data externally from a vendor, but also have the internal market intelligence data available, and we can put it into each place of the process wherever we want to, be it even within a special payment request by the manager, be it within the merit, be it as a manager on the view on the employee. Equity is fully integrated into the process as well. as well the analytics, but also what I think is really important is not only the tool side and the processes, but also the communication. So what we also do is a fully automated communication in terms of be it emails, news announcements, tasks, and everything is managed by, again, Comp and Ben themselves. So we have a content management system in place where we can design the emails, where we can design the tasks, where we can design certain things in the tools like information pages regarding our equity programs. And we do this also multilingual. So there's a huge collaboration within our Comp and Ben team, also together with other local HR colleagues to make this happening. And this really gave us now this integrated holistic compensation platform where everybody is working together on a digital platform to create those processes, but also to make the communication happen and the change management happen into that solution, right? Because managers were used to have some kind of local solution maybe, or it was an Excel process together with HR. And now we have this new approach, and we of course had a huge change management process running behind that. Actually everybody was convinced into that new solution, or that we had the trainings in place and the communication in place to make this happen. Then let's go to the lessons learned feedback. And maybe I've missed it, but I think there should also be a second poll available to you. Maybe already, let's see, on the right side. The question for this poll should be, did you ever think of creating your own custom solution, and what was preventing you from doing so? Also, Peter, do you have the results from the first poll at hand?
Yeah, I do. And they were also flashed up on the screen, so I think people will have seen them. And the bulk of people are quite happy with their current system, you know, the standardized system. But I think you've probably opened their eyes to what's possible, Peter, and I'm sure we'll come back to that in the Q&A. So an interesting result. Now, the second poll is up, I think.
Okay, perfect. So let's run that for some minutes, right? And we can jump to the results later.
Yeah, and then we can come back to the results, yeah.
Great. Okay, let's go into lessons learned and feedback, right? So what were kind of our lessons learned in that whole journey after 2 years now? And we are not done yet, right? So actually currently, and we'll show that also in the what is to come slide, currently, for example, we are in discussion of taking over the German tariff system because evaluations from our new service provider basically stated that German tariff would not be feasible in a good way in the new standard solution. So potentially some parts of German tariff will also be handled in coin. And also other things where we find out step by step by the evaluation of the countries in our HR transformation project that maybe some things will just not be feasible in a global standardized process. So what were the lessons learned? If you have a look at the pyramid, right, you see a strategy as a small portion in the beginning, our core piece of Comp and Ben, and then kind of Comp and Ben administration. And I would guess the setups are quite different in many countries, right? So what we currently do is in Siemens Energy, the full pyramid is done by Comp and Ben, right? And I think that differs maybe from, I would say, the most of the situations that we have currently running in your companies. That most of the time you maybe have a shared service center for the administration, or you have a business service provider, or maybe a different department like HR operations doing this, right? But for us, it was really important to have this holistic pyramid in our, let's say, zone of competency, right? That we run everything, because actually the harmonization between design and strategy and creating the processes was really important for us. And actually also one of the success drivers of being as successful and getting so good feedback from our business, right? Because there was just no gap, right? So design decisions were actually influenced by processes and implementation. So we had to change design because of implementation at some point. But also we had design being the driver for implementation. So it was a hand in hand. I think often in maybe your companies also, right, you have the situation that somebody decides a tool and then everybody tries to put things into that, what the tool actually can deliver. And this time, really, we tried to make it differently, to come from both perspectives and meet in the middle. So the vision, as explained, to create that vision and how to implement it, that was really key, but also the support from top management, right? Because let's say if a bunch of businesses would not apply to actually what we want to do, right, with our strategy and what we want to roll out. We would have more discussions than basically time to implement. And also, if like certain countries are not part of the solution, right, also then at the end, you don't have that holistic picture as a manager. So let's say I go into the tool and I want to have a look at my global team, and my team is spread out, and I don't know, in 12 countries, and 2 countries are not using the solution, right? It's a hassle for the manager again, because then you have to jump to different tools, you have different timelines and so on. So also I think it was really important to get the backing of our top management to create that solution. And actually, I know that last year, even our CEO went into the tool and managed their managers by himself. So that was a really nice message that we got at the end, to see that we even had the tool ready for our top management so they can use it in a self-service. Also, yeah, the resources. I think having my team as being a more, let's say, hybrid team between IT and business directly within Comp and Ben also helped quite a lot, since we had a really great exchange, and actually having that collaboration on strategy or implementation on a daily basis helps a lot. And also contacting your stakeholders, right? So getting the discussions with HR regarding the use cases, what actually is needed, and then make use of that technology to deliver what is needed and not what you think is needed. I think that is also was a great success factor here, and a great feedback for us, that we had that great collaboration with our local colleagues, so we can embed everything that actually is necessary, and to get rid of the necessity of local workarounds. And I think if you're currently one of the biggest lessons learned for us is also, if you think you need a big armada of people actually to run administration for Comp and Ben, maybe you're doing it wrong, because actually we don't have any service provider currently helping us. And of course, it's a change in work, because many of our local Comp and Ben colleagues do not use Excel anymore, but they basically run processes in Coin, and then check the Tableau dashboards for insight, and then have calls to make strategic guidance, right? And but basically we don't need a huge armada to run 70 plus countries in a merit process, and incentives and position evaluation and all the other modules currently. So it's all about the design at the end, and the concept, and how to integrate the voices of your colleagues that actually do the job into the implementation and design process as well. And as I said before, design and harmonization, and standardization before implementation. But it is vice versa. So sometimes also the implementation had an impact on design, but mostly we were coming from design and harmonization efforts.
Well, it's fascinating, Peter, and you've obviously been incredibly busy. Now, for everybody who's listening in, Peter is back again later on a panel discussion, very much on this theme. So there are quite a few questions, but there's not a lot of time. So
I think I can jump over that slide and just have an outlook on that one. We can have then some questions if you want. It's perfect.
Sure. Huh? You've just got 3 minutes before we should move on to the next one, yeah?
Yeah, so basically just give an outlook what's happening currently. So there are many ideas on how to progress, but with the success currently within our company, and with the good feedback really great feedback that we get from the managers, right? We now had the go lives. We managed to basically be standalone in the spin-off with our Comp and Ben processes. But now actually we are going the next step. So now in our HR transformation project, we will integrate Coin fully into our new business processes and the standard solution, where all countries will be merged into one standardized HR solution, but then also Coin will be fully integrated. And then also we reach out to new places, like how can we actually have mobile support for plant workers that maybe when they have it only have a smartphone available for certain processes. So we are really jumping into that areas. And it's a more technical topic also, but also we're already starting to work together with the Siemens AI lab and colleagues, right? How we can make more use of the data, because at the end it's about the decision making in the tool, and it's about like how can we leverage the tool to enable managers to make good decisions. And at the end, the idea is also to make use of machine learning to actually make proposals to the managers. So out of all the data we now collect over the last 2 years, and the next 1 or 2 years, we will have then enough data to actually make those proposals in terms of position evaluation, salary increases, and so on. Thanks. And now I'm happy to jump to the questions.
Well, thank you, Peter. And as I mentioned, Peter's back again at 1:30 CET on a panel, so you get another chance to hear about the detail. Peter, most of the questions are all around, well, what exactly did you do and how did you do it? The poll really shows that a lot of people think about doing this, but are constrained by lack of management support or finances, resources. So all the questions are really around, well, what exactly did you do? How do you integrate it with other things that you've got? What kind of resources did you use? But we've only got a couple of minutes, so if I'll have to shift you along quite sharply.
Yeah, I think first of all, we really chose a great team for implementation that we knew from the days back then already, right? And it's a really, different way compared to a global group like Siemens Energy. We really like working in an agile environment here in sprints and yeah, now in sprint, I think over 70 already. And we also have a lot of fun actually doing it, right? So the vision is also reflected in the minds of people actually implementing it. And I think that's really important that you have that not only doing as a job, but also because people want it to happen at the end. And then the management support, I think we just made a great business case because, for example, if you have everybody available at the same point in time, you are actually able to create strategic decisions from a top management perspective. If you run merit increases, let's say several merit increases throughout the years, you maybe can only react on those merit increases at that point in time, but not holistically, right? And there will be always exceptions, and there will be always kind of COVID coming by, and then the energy crisis and inflation, and everything is kind of influencing the processes. But there's that one point, that one time in the year where we have everybody in the tool, and strategic decision making actually has an impact on the global process in terms of how can we reward top performers? How can we make a sensible use of the budget that actually is available? Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Peter. I mean, I think obviously from my point of view, I can see that your energy, your commitment and your ability to deliver must have been key to getting people to agree to let you do this. So I'm really looking forward to having you back on the panel, 1:30 today. Should be really interesting. Get a bit more insight into exactly how you integrate with other aspects of the IT landscape and what kind of resources you had available to get this done. But for now, it's thanks very much to you. Back again later. And our next presentation